Hello. Today I will be addressing how the religions of Buddhism and Christianity teach forgiveness. Forgiveness is to stop feeling angry towards someone for a mistake and is taught through different teachings by Jesus, the Pope, and the Dalai Lama. Forgiveness is taught in Christianity through teachings by Jesus. An example of this is the parable of the prodigal son, which can be found in Luke 15:11-32. In this parable, Jesus uses the picture of a father and son to teach the lesson of forgiveness and that God will forgive everyone for their sins and welcome them with open arms if and when they find their place in his beliefs. Forgiveness is also taught by the Pope. He teaches, "Don't hold grudges. Forgiveness comes from forgiving others." Pope Francis also teaches, God's forgiveness is felt strongly within us as long as we forgive others. And this isn't easy because grudges make a nest in our heart and there is always bitterness. By these teachings we learn not to hold a grudge and forgive others, or it will bring bitterness towards people, and for God's forgiveness we need to forgive others. Sins separate us from God, and during the sacrament of reconciliation we are challenged to think about our sins. This includes confessing our sins and receiving forgiveness from God. Buddhism is a spiritual tradition that focuses on personal and spiritual development and achievement of a deep insight into the true nature of life. Buddhists seek to reach a state of nirvana by following the path of Buddha. A well-known Buddhist story about two monks who encounter each other some years after being released from prison, where they had been tortured by their captors. "Have you forgiven them?" asks the first. "I will never forgive them." "Never," replies the second. "Well, I guess they still have you in prison, don't they?" the first says. This story teaches about liberating your own feelings and finding meaning in the worst of life's events. It teaches that you practice forgiveness to be free of the inner violence of your rage, and that you shouldn't abandon the pursuit of the right action, but that you should gain a clear vision that allows you to use your skillful meaning in bringing peace. The Dalai Lama teaches forgiveness. An example of this is when he says, "Forgiveness does not mean forget. You should keep memory about the negative thing. Because of that, there is possible to develop anger or hatred. That control, that's the meaning of forgiveness." This means that we should forgive, but not forget the wrong action, because when we forget, we are not forgiving the person. If we forget, we are also susceptible to the same thing happening again. The Golden Rule is important in both Christianity and Buddhism because it teaches that you should treat your neighbor as you would like to be treated. This is important because if you want to be forgiven, you need to forgive others. For Buddhists, they should forgive as they would want to be forgiven themselves to allow themselves to move on. This is because everything is impermanent and holding on to anger causes people to not be able to focus on what is important.